Oh, yes. Here we go, everybody. Number one balls deep breakdown of the week. I already did a main event breakdown on my man DFS by the Numbers channel just a few hours ago today about the Whitaker Adesanya fight. And today we're going to be going with the co-main event of UFC 271 here on Balls Deep Breakdown with me, your host, Uncle Weezy. And we're going to break down the Derek Brunson versus Jared Cannonier fight. I can't wait for this fight. A real middleweight, maybe a title eliminator right here. These guys are probably next in line if either one of them can get a win here. And they'll be waiting to see who wins the main event at UFC 271 after whoever gets this win will probably be getting the winner of that fight. So a huge fight with potential title implications down the road here in the co-main event at UFC 271. I can't wait to break down this fight with you guys. Let's see what you guys are up to in the chat here. We got my guy Bout Better first in the room saying, man, you're so on top of the game. I just finished some tape study, and I'll be making content on this bout as you premiere. I can say now that I agree with the line. I agree with the line, too. I think Cannonier should be a favorite here. I think he's looked absolutely fantastic at middleweight thus far. Only bump in the road for him has been against Whitaker, and that was a good fight. So, I really like Cannonier here. I really like what Brunson has done since he's shifted over to Sanford MMA. He's 5-0 since he switched camps and changed up his style. So both of these guys are absolutely white hot. In their last 10 combined fights, they're 9-1, both of these guys. And against really good level competition here. I'll have statistics on the aggregate for both of these guys, and then I'll also have some statistics that I kind of set aside just for Brunson at Sanford and Cannonier at 185. And we'll kind of compare and contrast those statistics as well to try to get as good a feel as we can on how this one here is going to play out at UFC 271. We got my guy Daz Files in the room saying, oi, let's roll. Smooth Jimmy. Let's hear how Jared, a hard hitter. TKO round 3 might be a good spot. Yeah, he's a very hard hitter. Let me tell you something, man. Those calf kicks that he has, they change the game. And the way that he switches stances, my God, he can absolutely confuse you. He is very difficult to deal with his kickboxing on the feet, and he's very good at keeping the fight on the feet. So the guy, I see why people are on both sides of this fight, and you can make a case for both of these guys. But we're going to make a case not to what I care about so much, but what the statistics are telling us and what we can lean on and what information doesn't have as much value when it comes to this particular fight. I am enjoying a lovely beverage here. It's been a long day of work. Now I get to hang out. See, when I do a balls deep breakdown or when I do just the tip, the hard work comes before. It's getting all the stats ready. It's watching all the film. It's kind of picking out the points in the statistics that you think are meaningful and then describing why they're meaningful to you guys. This is the easy part. The easy part is turning on the camera, letting YouTube know I'm ready to go, cracking a beverage, and just talking MMA with you guys, because without you guys, I'd just be talking to a microphone here that's attached to nothing, like the kid in Wet Hot American Summer. So there's no point in me doing that. Got to do it with you guys. I see my guy DFS by the Numbers is also giving us a big hearty oi in the chat. Now let me get another sip of this and we'll move on. All right, so here's the visual of the oi that I just gave you for my guy DFS by the Numbers. We got Mark Schillingberg in here saying, oi, let's go, Uncle Weezy. Is Brunson going to try to lay on Jared for the entire fight, or are we going to get a flat line from Cannonier? I don't know. Let's find out what Smooth Jimmy thinks. And I think it could go either way, man. I think that's the two most likely scenarios of this fight, is that either Brunson gets his wrestling to work, makes it work for the full 3 rounds, and gets the win by decision, or Cannonier is able to keep this thing standing, use the far superior kickboxing technique that he has in order to bust up Brunson's lead leg, land big shots to the head once that lead leg is compromised and his ability to move and defend isn't as well. and then finish him like he does finish, up, especially here at middleweight, where he's finished 3 of his 4 wins thus far. So, yeah, let's see what Smooth Jimmy thinks after we talk to everybody here in the chat. And we got David Dennett saying, what up, Unk? Gonna sit back and roll me a fat oi for this Balls Deep LFG. I appreciate that, David, man. I'm going to be doing the same thing after I'm done speaking with you guys tonight and watching a whole bunch more tape as I get ready for tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Central Time, right here in the exact same place. Just the tip with your host, Uncle Weezy, and we're going to find out who's going to shave ass at UFC 271. Thanks for hanging out, David. I appreciate it, man. And we got Sergio Butte saying, what's up, boys? And we got Jarno saying, oi, what's up, Jarno? Good to see you. And we got my guy Lou Betya in the room saying, oi, vey. Love it, man. Love it. We got Donald Rocket saying, told you all Rachmanov wasn't too big of a favorite. Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. I did put a half unit bet on the Carlston Harris money line at plus 205, and I had a quarter unit bet on the Carlston Harris decision line at plus 700. I felt they were both wide, but my God, Shavkat showing off some really flashy striking and then showing off something that he's shown over his entire career thus far is the ability to be able to finish fights with some of the best ground and pound that right now exists in the welterweight division in the UFC. Stand up Kazakhstan, stand up all the Shavkat Rachmanov bettors. You made it look easy on Saturday. I can't wait to see who that guy gets in his next fight. And I can't wait to see how many people, like accidentally hang up the phone when they figure out that it's Mick Maynard asking them, do you want to take Shavkat Rachmanov for your next fight? Because I have a feeling he's going to have a hard time finding somebody to take that fight. Jarno saying, let's have another big week. I couldn't agree more, Jarno. I want another big week here. I've got 5 winning tracked betting weeks in a row. I want to make it 6, but you can't have 7 tracked betting weeks in a row unless you have 6, like Harry Carey used to say. Rest in peace, Harry Carey. So we got to get 6 first. That means we got to win this week. We got to stack some more cash tickets like flapjacks. We got my guy Tim Troiano in the room saying, what's up, Weezy? And we got my guy Chris for the Love MMA saying, oi, good card coming up. Love it, man. And Donald Rocket saying, Brunson was basically his own coach in Carolina. Absolutely, he was. And when you think about it, he actually reached pretty highly on his own. Now at Sanford with a real team, seems to be putting it together. Yeah, Donald, I was going to say exactly that as we float a little bit further into this Balls Deep breakdown. One of the fights that I had watched to do research for the main event breakdown that I did on DFS by the Numbers channel. And by the way, the description to that or the link to that video is in the description of this video. The link to the stats that you'll see is in the link to, is in the description of this video, and the link to Stat Diggers, which we did last night on Pub Sports Radio, also in the description of this video. So don't be afraid to click on any of those links. But yeah, at Sanford, Derek Brunson is 5-0, and I've actually written down some numbers here on a piece of paper that will kind of compare and contrast the numbers at Sanford with the overall aggregate numbers that we've seen out of Derek Brunson, and we'll see the improvements that he's made when he's been at Sanford. And we're also going to kind of pull out the 185, the middleweight stats for Cannonier, and compare and contrast them against what they were prior to that, because middleweight Cannonier is an absolute problem. And David is also saying here that I think with real striking coaches, his striking is actually regressed, maybe being overwhelmed, learning how to do things correctly. So tough fight to call the odds. I like the over. Yeah, I agree with you, man. And yeah, it is. It's difficult to do that because this was a guy, when you watched him fight before, he didn't think of anything technical wise with his striking. He was just winging bombs and he was dragging people into brawls and hoping that he landed that big left hand before he got knocked out. And he was actually very proficient at it for a while. But I think he found out, once you get to that top level, you can't just wing bombs. People are going to be too technical for that. They're going to know what you're trying to do. And if you're predictable, good fighters with good game plans that come from good camps with good coaches are going to find more than one way to beat you. And we saw that. We saw Brunson go into a bit of a skid, found Sanford MMA, and all of a sudden now we got a guy that's 5-0 in his last 5 fights with 2 finishes and some dominant performance there, Donald. So I can't wait to talk about this one. Mark saying, I like that Donald Sanford seems to be jiving very well with Brunson. Yeah, for sure, man. There's no doubt about it. And we got my guy B in the room. What's up, B? Good to see you in here, brother. With the donation, ring a ding ding. We love the donations here on this channel, man, and I appreciate each and every one of you that supports the channel just by being here and watching, by big upping that thumbs up, by hitting that subscribe button, by donating to the channel. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much for all of your support. Much love to all you guys. Donald saying that GMP accuracy from Rakhmonov is, yeah, I mean, his ground and pound is absolutely savage. Savage. And I knew as soon as he got on top of Harris, I said, this is over. And it was over shortly thereafter. 5 winning weeks in a row. Great job, man. Good luck this week, bro. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, we got to keep it going, though. Cam L saying, I feel like Jared has the best takedown defense Brunson will have faced in a while. Yeah, we'll look at that. But yeah, to a little bit of a spoiler alert. You're right, Cam. Mark Schillingberg saying, I got wrecked last week. A lot of bad bets. I'll be selective this week. Can't wait, though. Excellent card. It's an excellent card. And you want to be selective every single week. You know, you don't want to overlook for spots. You just want to hammer the spots that you're really confident in. And so we always got to work on that. It's not just picking the spots. It's also long-term bankroll management and having an idea of what your philosophy is as a gambler, you know, and sticking to that philosophy. When we do that, we can be long-term winners. Donald saying exactly. And we got Cam saying Jared is strong as fuck. Yeah, he's so strong. The guy was fighting heavyweights and light heavyweights. So there's no question about that. Going to be tough to take him down. There's no question. And I'm surprised this isn't an Apex main event. 3 rounds changes a lot for me. This makes, yeah. And the Apex, the small cage, and the fact that this is a 3-round fight instead of a 5-round fight. All of those things are in the favor of one Derek Brunson. And Donald saying better for the division if Jared wins. I think Jared, yeah. And he's a favorite. He's a favorite. And we got Mark Schillingberg with a $2.99 super sticker, another donation. Ring a ding ding. Supporting the channel. Much love to you, Mark. Much appreciated. And guess who also appreciates it? My guy, Smooth Jimmy Apollo. I believe he is ready to go here. I believe he is ready to help us break down this fight, to give a little bit of professionalism to the show. Because let's face it, you know, your boy Weezy, not the most professional guy. You know, I work hard. You know, but you know, there's a lack of professionalism when it comes to my appearance and about the way I go about things. But my guy, Smooth Jimmy, he's a veteran. He's a cagey veteran. He's right 52% of the time, and he's ready to break down this co-main event that we got at UFC 271, you guys. Derek Brunson versus, oh my God, this is such a good fight, Brunson versus Cannonier here, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. As always, like I say, the matchup template, the link to all these stats is in the description of this video. Don't be afraid to click on that and kind of go along with what we're looking at here. But I'm going to bring up these stats and I'm going to zoom in on them so you guys can see them on YouTube as we go along here. So we've got 2 old middleweights here, you guys. 38 years old is Derek Brunson. 37 years old is Jared Cannonier. So against a lot of other opponents, this age would be a problem. It would be a disadvantage. But both of these guys are the same age, so I don't think that's going to make much of a difference here. And as a matter of fact, if we look at the birthday here, these guys are only 2 months apart in terms of their birthdays. So their age is almost identical here. Derek Brunson just turned 38, and Jared Cannonier will be turning 38 in a little over a month. It is going to be Brunson, who's 2 inches taller. There is no reach advantage in this fight, and it's going to be a switch stance fighter against a southpaw fighter in Brunson. When you see a switch stance fighter against a southpaw fighter, that is statistically significant to help predict wins, being on the switch stance fighter's side, because the switch stance fighter can prepare for a southpaw different than the southpaw can prepare for the switch stance fighter. It's just one of those metrics that we've seen over a big enough sample size that actually does help predict wins. So in this case, I would give Jared Cannonier the tail of the tape advantage simply for that reason here, because the reach advantage is the same, the age is the same, the height is usually negligible here. But the fact that Cannonier fights out of both stances, I think, is very important. He's training out of the MMA lab, and we got Derek Brunson training out of Sanford MMA. When we go to the pro experience numbers here, you guys, we're going to see that Brunson does have a pro experience advantage. 11 more professional fights, about 50 more minutes in the pro cage, and 1 more year as a professional mixed martial artist. And we also know that Derek Brunson, prior to being a pro mixed martial artist, was a NAIA champion and a national champion for Division II college wrestling. So this guy has got a legit, collegiate wrestling background behind him, and he is a national champion, NAIA. So this guy can absolutely wrestle. So Brunson has had a lifetime of experience in combat sports, while Jared Cannonier, 19 fights as a pro mixed martial artist, 10 and a half years as a pro. He's no slouch in the experience department as well. But we've got to get the pro and the UFC experience advantage here to Derek Brunson here. 7 more UFC fights, 40 more minutes in the UFC cage. He is 14-5 in the UFC, while Jared Cannonier is 7-5 in the UFC. So, just a little bit of an advantage here in the experience stats. When we look at the finish stats, Jared Cannonier in his 14 professional wins has finished 88% of them inside the distance, you guys. 12 of 14 wins coming inside the distance. That would be 2 by submission and 10 by knockout. So this guy is a potent finisher, while Derek Brunson has finished 69% of his 23 wins inside the distance. So that would be 9. So that would be 14 of his 23 wins have come inside the distance. And then when we look at how these guys are losing fights, in 12 combined losses, we have 2 and 5, 7 of them coming inside the distance. So, about 58% coming inside the distance when they're combined losses. Jared Cannonier has been knocked out twice in his career, and Derek Brunson has been knocked out 5 times in his career. And Derek Brunson's been knocked out 4 out of his 5 UFC losses, while Cannonier has been knocked out in 2 out of his 5 UFC losses. So, a combined 60% finish rate in these guys' combined losses in the UFC, and 64. So that would be about probably 9 and 5. 14 of 21 coming inside the distance in their wins. About 66% of these guys' combined wins have come inside the distance. So, yeah, that takes us through the experience stats here and the finish stats and the tail of the tape. So I'm giving Derek Brunson an advantage in the experience. I'm giving Cannonier a slight advantage in terms of the tail of the tape because he fights out of both stances. And in terms of how these guys finish fights, they're both finishing about 3 times as many fights by knockout as they are by submission. And they're really both only losing by knockout. Let's see what you guys are saying here in the chat. And we got Mark showing love, and I'm showing love right back to you. I appreciate the donation, man. It means a lot. Dad's File saying professional smessionable. And Sean's saying he's going Brunson here. And we got Nathan saying Brunson, not bad money here. You're getting plus money. And let me tell you something. If you've been betting Brunson at plus money for like the last 4 fights, you've been cashing. So absolutely, this guy is doing damage as an underdog over and over and over again. And here he is as an underdog again for the 4th fight in a row, I believe. And Donald Rocket saying, is there a stat for the blonde hair dye to win ratio? Well, I'll tell you something. For Derek Brunson, it's about 100%. But then when you look around recently at people who have been dyeing their hair blonde and look at their win-loss record, Phil Hawes, not good. Hani Barcelos, not good. Who else has been dyeing their hair blonde? You guys have got to remind me, because there's been some. Carlos Felipe just got busted for steroids and kicked out of the UFC. Blonde Felipe, gone. And then there's another blonde guy at the same camp. It's Blonde Hawes, Blonde Brunson, and Blonde at Sanford. Who else? Who else is blonde at Sanford? I'm forgetting right now. But anyway, it's not good lately, the blonde hair thing. I think mullets were hot back in 2020, but then in 2021, mullets were getting absolutely reamed in the cage. So, I think the blonde hair dye stat, especially in the year 2022, not correlating the wins right now, Donald. And we got Nathan saying, respect on the stats is always Weezy. I appreciate that, Nathan. They're always free. You can always download them here. And I actually just tweeted them out on Twitter today. I'm going to start doing that every week, just tweeting them out as soon as I have them, so that, because it's always us against the bookies, I want you guys to have the same information that I have every week, so that we together can make really responsible decisions and kind of take some money back from these bookies. And Chris for the love saying, he's barking for Brunson. Hell yeah, man. Bootsy knows when he barks, he likes the underdog. And Chris saying, at least I think Brunson is the dog. I don't know. Brunson is the dog. Yes, sir, he is. I'm liking Brunson with a sub here. Wow, that would be very interesting if he was able to pull that off. He did get a sub against Darren Till in the third round. David Dennett saying, I've lost so many units against Brunson. Hope the third fade works. And Bon Kui saying, nobody does it like Blonde Brundicoot, though. Yeah, that's for sure. Blonde Brunson has been on fire. Cuban Assassin saying, go Brunson, as sure as I am that Keith Peterson smells like Newport Cigs and Fireball. Right, and right, Cuban Assassin. You're 3 for 3, brother. Bon Kui saying Hawes. Yes, Hawes, that's right. Charant. Blonde Charant. You're right. That's the other blonde right now at the non-natural blonde, I should say. That's at Sanford. Fabio Charant is blonde. Yes, sir. And Justin Villegas saying, what I was thinking, same thing. Melvin Gillard, Kevin Randleman got use old stats as well. Yes, I remember. And the young assassin with blonde hair had a pretty good run, and then he had a pretty good run with losing later on in his career. So many veteran mixed martial arts, that's what happens later on in your career. Sometimes the ability to win those fights or be hungry enough to train well enough to win those fights is gone. Sergio's a Butte saying, I like Brunson by decision, but I can see Jared knocking him out. Yeah, I think Brunson by decision might be one of the fatter lines available right now. And Chris saying, yeah, I kind of lean Brunson only being 3 rounds. Not as much worry of gassing due to excessive grappling and attempts. Absolutely. Brunson saw the game plan on Saturday with Maximov versus Soriano. I could not agree more. And Sean Cundy saying, cheers, Weezy. Thanks for all the info, sir. You're absolutely welcome, Sean. Thank you for hanging out with us live here. And let me get back to the stats here, you guys, so that we can go over striking and grappling stats for this one here. We're going to start with the striking for these guys. Jared Cannonier so far in the UFC, you guys, is landing 3.6 significant strikes per minute and absorbing 3.19. He's showing a 49.32% striking accuracy. He's landing a knockdown on 1.14% of the significant strikes that he's landed. So that is 5 knockdowns landed for Jared Cannonier in 12 UFC fights. And that is averaging out to 0.62 knockdowns per 15 minutes. Now, on the defensive side, 64% striking defense for Jared Cannonier. He has been knocked down 4 times, though, in 12 UFC fights, and he's absorbing 0.49 knockdowns per 15 minutes. So Jared has fought a good percentage of his career up at 205 and heavyweight. He's been a lot more defensively responsible here at 185 pounds. And then Derek Brunson, you guys, is landing 3.54 significant strikes per minute and only absorbing 2.78. So he has a better significant strike ratio than Jared Cannonier does. He's a little less accurate and a little less powerful, but both of these guys have shown some pretty good power thus far in the UFC. The knockdowns for 15 minutes, about 0.15 less than Jared Cannonier at 0.47 per 15 minutes. Derek Brunson is also being knocked down on over 1% of the significant strikes that he's absorbing. So that is 5 knockdowns allowed in 15 fights. and that is averaging out to 0.47 knockdowns allowed per 15 minutes. But the big difference is that those knockdowns are taking place at 185, while Jared Cannonier is getting knocked down at heavyweight and light heavyweight. So when we watch how these guys strike lately, one of the guys, Donald, pointed it out earlier that, early in Brunson's career, there was no process to his striking whatsoever. He was just winging hooks, trying to find your chin, and just trying to drag everybody into a brawl, into an absolute shitstorm of a fight where he's just winging uppercuts and haymakers and just hoping something lands. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But when it worked, he looked spectacular. That Whitaker fight is the best example of him just being absolutely sloppy, running face first. The face is first and the hands are behind it, trying to knock you out and just chasing you around the ring, wide open to counters. And that's exactly what Whitaker did to him. At some point, Brunson was just running in and Whitaker just planted his feet and landed a huge left. Stopped him cold. Now we see a lot more of a defensively or offensively responsible Derek Brunson. He uses his striking to set up his grappling because that's how he wins minutes. So the new Sanford version of Brunson is probably a lot less dangerous in the striking now because he's not trying to brawl, because he's not running forward with his chin up and leading him while he's trying to throw big, wide haymakers to knock you out. He's using his striking to set up his grappling, but that's made him a lot less dangerous on the feet. And Cannonier is the opposite of that, you guys. He's very, very dangerous on the feet. He's constantly switching stances. He's a better kickboxer than Brunson is. Brunson will mostly be using his hands, while Jared will be throwing head kicks, body kicks. His low leg kicks are absolutely vicious. He destroyed Anderson Silva and made him give up due to injury in the first round from leg kicks. Cannonier can change fights with his leg kicks. He can destroy a wrestler's ability to shoot in on takedowns, and he can destroy other strikers' ability to be able to move well and set up their striking against him. So Jared Cannonier is going to be the more offensively dangerous striker in this fight. He's also going to be more defensively responsible here and less chinny than Derek Brunson has been at this division. So I'm giving Jared Cannonier a very big striking advantage here, but I'm also going to be giving Derek Brunson a giant grappling advantage here. So let's look at these numbers, you guys. Jared Cannonier has attempted only 3 takedowns in 12 UFC fights. He has only controlled his opponents for 5% of his UFC cage time. That would be about 6 minutes and 121. And he has been taken down 17 times in 12 fights. He's yielding 2.1 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's been controlled. For every 1 second of control time he gets, his opponents are getting about a little over 4 seconds of control time. So he's being out-controlled at over a 4-to-1 ratio thus far in his UFC aggregate time in these 12 fights. So, yeah, it does look on the surface like Brunson's going to be able to have some success. And then we look at Brunson here, like we mentioned, a college national champion. So this guy he's got a legit wrestling game. 32 takedowns in 19 fights, 32% takedown accuracy. He's averaging 3 takedowns for 15 minutes, and he's out-controlling his opponents at a 20-to-1 ratio. 40% control time for, 2% control time against. In 19 UFC fights, he's been taken down once in 16 attempts, showing 94% takedown defense. Derek Brunson is a master of winning minutes on the ground, you guys. He uses his striking to set up his takedown entries. Once he sets up his takedown entries, he gets on top. Once he gets on top, he's got excellent ground and pound. Look at the heavy ground and pound that he was landing against Till, landing against Shabazian, landing against Holland. He was fucking those dudes up on the ground. And he is not only good at getting those takedowns in the open, but he gets them in ways where he can stay on top of you for long periods of time afterwards and do damage when he is on top of you. For the people that are calling him lay and pray, I disagree with that. Look at how much damage he does when he's on top. This guy's grappling is next level. So he's going to be the grappler in the proverbial striker versus grappler matchup that this is. But I want to take you through some statistics here that I kind of just peeled out of what we have in the aggregates here to give us a better idea of what these guys are doing in their most current versions of themselves. Sanford Brunson. We're going to start with Sanford Brunson. Sanford Brunson, ever since Derek Brunson went from training in his garage by himself, basically, to Sanford MMA, he's 5-0. He has 2 finishes and 3 decision wins. He's 19 of 45 on his takedown attempts in these 5 fights. So he's attempting 9 takedowns per fight, and he's getting 3.8 takedowns per fight. He's getting his takedowns at a 42% clip. We see here that he's getting them at a 32% clip on the aggregate. So his takedown accuracy has went up. His takedowns per fight takedown attempts per fight has actually went down. And he's just been more effective with it. And we see here that on the aggregate, he's out at controlling his opponents 40% to 2%. With the Sanford numbers, he's controlling his opponents 42.3% of the time and giving up 2.7% control time. So he's still almost out controlling his opponents at a 20-to-1 ratio while he's been at Sanford. The strength of schedule, the average record of his opponents, or the total record of his opponents, 32-18 with a 1.78 win-to-loss ratio. So we're fighting very good competition. But let's talk about middleweight Cannonier here. This is a 185-pound Cannonier. He's 4-1 with 3 finishes. His opponents have been successful on 4 of 26 takedown attempts. So we see here that it's a 62% takedown percent or defense on the aggregate for Cannonier. But at the middleweight division, his takedown defense is 85%. He's getting 3.13% control time for, so less than what he's gotten on the aggregate here at 5%. But he's only allowing 13.3% control time allowed. And that, my friends, is on 26 takedown attempts in 5 fights. So he's seeing just over 5 takedown attempts per fight as a middleweight. Derek Brunson is attempting just under 5 takedown attempts per fight at middleweight. And Derek Brunson's getting them at a 42% clip. Cannonier is defending them at an 85% clip. Brunson is getting 42% control time. Cannonier is giving up only 13% control time. And we got to remember that a lot of these guys that Brunson has been fighting as a middleweight, Darren Till, former lightweight, Kevin Holland, former welterweight, Kevin Holland, current welterweight, Edmund Shabazian, not a big middleweight, and then we got a couple of big middleweights here in Heinisch and Theodorou. And then Cannonier, in his 5 fights at the middleweight division here in the UFC, got a knockout win over David Branch early in the second round. Basically broke Silva's leg. End of the first round. Second round knockout over Hermanson, who was not able to get his wrestling game going. A unanimous decision loss to Robert Whitaker, and then a unanimous decision win over Kelvin Gastelum. So when we look at the strength of schedule stats here, you guys, I have got Jared Cannonier with the better ratio overall at 2.04 to Brunson's 1.76, but Brunson with slightly more experienced competition. The wins just a little bit better for Cannonier here, and the losses just a little bit better for Brunson. The strength of schedule, very close, but I think just going on the last 5. The Sanford Brunson schedule, Theodorou, Heinisch, Shabazian, Holland, and Till. The middleweight Cannonier schedule, Branch, Anderson Silva, Hermanson, Whitaker, and Gastelum. I would have to say over the last 5 that Cannonier has fought the better strength of schedule. He's ranked number 3, I believe, right now. This guy is very, very dangerous on the feet. as a middleweight. He's showing 85% takedown defense, and he's only being controlled by his opponents about an eighth of the fight. So what's going to break here, you guys? Let's see what you guys are saying here in the chat, because you know, I'm at a bit of a loss here. We got 626 D for Dank saying, love your vibes, Uncle Weezy. D is for Dank. I love your vibes too, my man. I appreciate that. Donald Rocket saying, Blonde isn't going to help Sharant this weekend. Yeah, Sharant's got his work cut out for him this weekend. That's for sure. Chris Calanza saying, Uncle Weezy on fire tonight. Chris, good to see you in here, brother. Always good to have you hanging out with us here on Balls Deep Breakdown. We got Monk in the room saying, what up, Weezy? What up, chat? Good to see you here, Monk. I'll be hanging out with Monk on Wednesday on Pub Sports Radio for the DFS show that we do every 6 o'clock on Wednesday, Central Time, Pub Sports Radio. Talk DraftKings, MMA, DFS. We always have a ball. We got Mark saying, what's up to Monk? Monk saying, what's up to Mark? The camaraderie in this room is unmatched. David saying, if Cannonier doesn't break his forearm around one with Whitaker, I think it would have been a very close fight. Yes, that's another thing, and we forgot about that. Cannonier is very durable. And then we've got Chris saying, sounds like Weezy is leaning Cannonier, keeping it on the feet and touching that chin to win. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for Brunson to get this guy down and keep him down. Cannonier is a monster. He's one of the biggest guys that Brunson has had to wrestle thus far. So it is going to be very difficult. And we've got that 5-fight sample size, as I mentioned, where we can see that at this division, his wrestling defense has been very good. And UFC betting experience saying, Jared too big and got good get-ups. Jared got it. Yeah, Jared's got very good get-ups, and there's no question about that. We can go over to the advanced stats here, and I can just show you a couple of these things that I was mentioning, you guys. The win over an 11-8 Gastelum here, the win over a 9-4 Hermanson, the win over a 17-7 Silva, the win over a 4-5 Branch, and we could see if we just highlight all 5 of these matchups here, we can kind of take a look at what the takedown defense here is on the defense side of the page, which we scrolled to the right for. And we can see, why is that not scrolling? Okay. Oh, it did scroll. So the takedowns and takedown attempts here, we see 0, 0, 1, 0, 3 out of 10, 0, 6, 2, 8. So it's not like the guys aren't trying to take down Jared Cannonier. There have been 16, 24, 26 takedown attempts in 5 fights. So 5.2 takedown attempts against per fight, and he's only yielded less than 1 per fight. So he has done a very good job. And in these 10 takedown attempts that Branch had in the very first round against Cannonier, he still only managed 119 seconds of control time, which means he didn't even control half the round with 10 takedown attempts. And it was the same thing. I think it'll look very much the same, that when these guys were at striking range, Cannonier was dangerous and Branch wasn't. So I think we're going to have to really count on Brunson showing some improvements in his striking game after training here at Sanford for the last couple of years, to be able to keep it close when it is on the feet, to be able to land some shots, to be defensively responsible on the feet, not let Cannonier land big calf kicks and big shots to the head and head kicks. And if he can do that and mix in the wrestling, he can potentially win a greasy decision here. Because like we say, we can look at how and also something I wanted to mention too is that when we look at Cannonier here overall, we see a 1% knockdowns per total significant strikes landed, the number that I have highlighted, right? Or that's defense, I'm sorry. On Cannonier on offense is 1.14%. But when we do the math here on the advanced stats, we see that he's landed 4 knockdowns in his last 205 significant strikes landed. So that means his knockdown percentage as a middleweight is 2%. So Cannonier has terrifying power for this weight class. So this really comes down to how safe can Brunson stay while he's standing, And can he make those minutes close? Because if he can, he might be able to grapple for enough time out of 900 seconds for 3 rounds here. This is a 3-round fight, not a 5-round fight. In order to be able to win enough minutes with the grappling to potentially win a decision in this fight. I don't see him, if Jared Cannonier had his arm broken in the first round against Whitaker and got dropped in the 3rd round against Whitaker and close to finish, but never even came close to giving up, and then actually won the last minute of the 3rd round against Whitaker, we know that there's no quit in this dude. So let's start looking at these lines, because the first thing that I'm thinking is, you guys, if you're on the Brunson side, why not just bet him by decision? It's a 3-round fight where he's going to have to win the grappling exchanges. And Jared Cannonier is very difficult to take down and hold down. So I think that if Derek Brunson does get a win here, instead of just getting 1.5 to 1 on your money, why not bet Brunson by decision here at plus 320 on FanDuel.com? That's taking you to like a 23% implied probability instead of like a 40% implied probability. So definitely, I think that that's something to look at, you guys. That is a 17% edge on your return on investment with making this bet. I think it's a big deal in order to get that kind of juice here, instead of just paying up the minus 150 for Brunson. And right now, this money line on Cannonier, minus 160 is the best that we can get. That's available on DraftKings. We've got the fight doesn't go to decision here at minus 150. Brunson's got a decent chin, but like we say, he has been knocked out in 4 of his 5 UFC losses. So, Cannonier by knockout being plus 125, that's not juicy enough for me. I think I would rather just, if I was on the Cannonier side, lay the minus 160 on DraftKings and just, prepare for the possibility that he doesn't knock out Brunson, but that Brunson doesn't win enough minutes with the grappling in order to win a decision. I think that Brunson is going to be responsible early. I think he's going to grapple early, and that if Cannonier can survive that, potentially a Cannonier round 3 finish could be in the cards here. Cannonier round 3 is plus 1,100. That's kind of interesting. But in terms of the fight goes and the fight doesn't go, I think that's priced about where it should be. Like I mentioned, in these guys' last 10 fights, 5 of them have finished inside the distance, and a few of those were 5-round fights. So the fact that we're getting, plus money for fight goes to decision at plus 130 could be interesting. There could be a little bit of an edge there, but it's not really an edge against what the divisional finish rate here is for middleweights, which is over 50%. So it kind of feels to me like the line is priced perfectly. Like the fight goes and the fight doesn't go is priced perfectly. What's not priced perfectly is that I believe Derek Brunson's only path to victory here is a wrestling-based decision, unless he gets a submission on the ground. But this is only a 3-round fight, and I think Brunson's going to have to work really hard to get to a position that he can hold for 60 to 90 seconds on the ground. And getting those kind of takedowns is very tricky, especially against somebody as big, as strong, and as good a takedown defense as Cannonier has showed here as a middleweight. I think that I'm going to pick Cannonier to win this fight. I think the most likely path here would be an inside the distance knockout, but with this being 3 rounds, I'm not going to make a prediction as to whether I think Cannonier wins this fight inside the distance or by decision. But I think my early lean here is that Cannonier is going to be able to keep this fight standing long enough in order to land enough big strikes to, if this fight does go to the scorecards, do enough damage to kind of see these new school judges who are scoring damage give him that fight, instead of giving Brunson credit for maybe controlling 33% of this fight on the ground and on the cage. So my pick is going to be Jared Cannonier by decision, you guys. Let's see what you guys are saying here in the chat. see if you guys think I'm crazy here. But let's see here. Wow, you guys are killing it in the chat here. Yeah. Also, some of the time that Jared was being controlled was actually from being knocked down by Whitaker. Yes, that's true. Not taken down. That's very true. Schillingberg saying, yeah, I think it all comes down to Jared's takedown defense. I think he's able to stuff him, beat them legs up, and work him. I like Cannonier. I'm kind of with you there. What is Cannonier's takedown defense? The takedown defense for Cannonier on the aggregate is 62.22%. But as a middleweight zero, the takedown defense, he's successfully defended 22 of 26 takedowns as a middleweight, 85% takedown defense as a middleweight, and only 13.3% control time given up as a middleweight. And let's see, we've got Donald saying, yeah, I actually like the over because I think both survive personally, but it's a tough to call a winner. Yeah, it feels like it's priced right, so we don't have to run the window to bet it. Over should be a great bet. Yeah, I'm leaning over here as well, Mark. Donald saying, this was a 5-round fight in the small cage. I'd lean Brunson. But wearing down Jared in 3 rounds isn't likely. You see, I feel the opposite. I think if this were a 5-round fight, I'd have Jared all day because he would be the one with a better gas tank late in the fight. His conditioning has always been excellent. So is Brunson's, frankly. But it'll be Brunson pushing the wrestling-heavy game plan, so he will be the more likely one to tire out first. So I think that a 5-round fight actually favors Jared, and a 3-round fight favors Brunson. But who knows? It's mixed martial arts. UFC betting experience saying Holland, Edmund, Till all hurt him. Jared's power is better or KO in early rounds. Yeah, and those guys are all like former welterweights for the most part, except for Edmund. Donald Rocket saying Zero's takedown defense in the high 80s at middleweight. Yeah, I don't see Brunson winning inside the distance. Just decision. I agree. Yeah, and if you think that Brunson can dominate the grappling exchanges, use his wrestling to get Cannonier's back flat on that mat, and then work some ground and pound and win minutes down there, bet that decision probably plus 320. That's the best path to victory for Brunson. And James Word saying, what it do, Unc? This fight is going to be a boring decision. It could be, man, especially if Brunson gets his way. Donald Rocket saying also Jared's leg kicks are going to take some of the power from Brunson in his striking and his pursuit of takedowns for sure. I could see Brunson's takedowns getting denied and him getting desperate and turning back to sloppy Brunson. Yes, it could happen. Especially if he starts getting tagged up after not landing those takedowns. But Brunson's TDs could also open up something landing him for him in the striking. Yes, tough fight to call. Yeah, that's the thing. When your opponent is thinking about the takedown constantly, there is that chance that you're going to land that big strike, kind of like Khabib did against Conor. Conor just obsessed with the wrestling attack of Khabib that he could land that big shot, and he got a knockdown. The same thing could happen here for Brunson potentially. Excuse me, guys. Chris saying, yeah, I don't think Brunson holds Cannonier down a lot, but if he's smart, he tries his best to do so. Yeah, and he is smart. He's fighting with a smart camp that's teaching him how to fight to his best win condition. Donald saying, you guys are right, though. He was hurt against Till, Holland, and Edmund, but didn't have any resistance taking them down. Chris saying, just wonder if you'll be able to catch a few of those kicks for takedown and make Cannonier a little less willing to throw them. Yes, I think that's absolutely a part of this. I'm glad you brought that up, Chris, because, when you're trying to beat a wrestler and you're worried about that guy trying to take you down, you're going to be much less likely to throw kicks. Calf kicks you can get away with, but once they start coming up to the body, into the head, you risk that they get caught, and you risk that you get countered as well. But what you're really worried about is that, they're going to get caught and you're going to get taken down, put flat on your ass. Donald saying, if you can't get Cannonier down, then I could see him getting sloppy and desperate and running onto something. For sure, dude. But I think talked me out of betting Brunson if I bet this week. It's going to be a tough road to hoe for Brunson, man. But if he does get that wrestling going, and if he does put Cannonier flat on his back in that first round and work him with ground and pound, man, then I'm telling you it's anybody's fight because Brunson can keep a wrestling-heavy game plan for 3 rounds. If he comes out and he decisively wins that first round, I think it's going to be very difficult for Jared to come back because he's going to have to constantly be defending more takedowns. Bon Kwee saying, if you like Jared, you like him inside the distance. If you like Brunson, you either like a decision or a third round possible finish, which is less likely. I agree. And Donald saying, I've been on Brunson in his last 5, and he's been a big money machine for me, but I think I'm laying off him this week. Maybe just bet the over. Yeah, I mean, the Cannonier's a problem. David saying, sprinkle round 3 TKO Cannonier line at plus 1,200. I don't mind that. But my fave bet is Cannonier round 3 decision at plus 280. Wow, plus 280 round 3 decision. I like that line a lot too, David. I'm going to have to write that one down. Do I have my pen? No, I'm going to write that one down, though. I like that a lot. We got Donald saying, I agree. If you're going to bet Brunson, might as well take the decision prop. I mean, Whitaker hurt Cannonier so badly, and look, he survived. Yeah, and he had a broken arm, too. 3 rounds for Brunson, stick in the game plan, for sure. Also, question, between this and the main event, results, what matchup for the next middleweight title excites y'all the most? I think it would be I'd like to see Cannonier get that Adesanya matchup because we've seen Brunson fight Adesanya. You know, he tried to take him down 8 times in that first round and then got slept. So I'm not exactly sure that Brunson's a good matchup. I think Cannonier would be a better matchup with that toughness. He switches stances too. He's got great kicks. He's a great kickboxer, and he's big. So I think that could be very interesting, man. That would be the one that would excite me the most. Sergio Butte saying, now that I think about it, Holland rocked him. Yeah, Jared's going to knock him out. Yeah, he could for sure. Jarno saying, I'm not over the fact that Chidi knocked out Barrio in under 15 seconds. Man, that money was lost quickly. Yeah, I had the decision, the finish-only prop because Chidi had been finished in 6 or 7 losses, and Barrio had never been finished in 4 losses and had always been known for his durability. And then he goes out there and he gets starched in the first 15 seconds. I felt like a moron. And Daz File is going to be predicting a Jared TKO round 3. Betting experience saying Marc-Andre Barrio didn't break a sweat yet. The first punch or not. Break sweat, make the best chin fail. Yeah, that's true. It's now or never for Jared. Don saying, I think it's best for the division that Cannonier wins just to see Izzy fight someone new. And yeah, he can't take down Izzy. Why do you think he takes down Jared? Yeah, for sure. You guys, yeah, the pick is going to be Jared Cannonier here by decision, but I like that Cannonier round 3 or decision on FanDuel that my guy David Dennett brought up. Plus 280. That is an excellent bet. That will probably be my bet for this fight. And you know what I might even do is do that one for a half unit and do Brunson for by decision for a half unit. And then no matter what, if either one of those happens, we make money. And then all we have to worry about is Brunson getting a finish, which is very unlikely against somebody as durable as Cannonier in only 3 rounds, or Cannonier getting a first or a second round finish when Brunson's going to be at his most fresh and is going to be at his most dangerous with his offensive wrestling. So I love that bet, David. That's going to be my number 1 bet for this fight. Thank you guys for hanging out this late on a Monday night, almost an hour, breaking down only one fight on the UFC 271 card. Check out the main event breakdown I did with DFS by the Numbers on his channel. Link in the description of the video. Check out the stats, download them for free, and then check out Stat Diggers. We did that last night live on Pub Sports Radio. Went for a little over 2 hours, breaking down all 15 fights on the UFC 271 card. Go and check that out. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for spending your Monday night with me. I appreciate all the support, all the thumbs up, all the subscribes. It means so much to me, you guys. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 271, and I will see each and every one of you guys right here tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Central Time for Just the Tip, and we'll finish like we always do with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. See you guys tomorrow night, and until then, God bless, sleep well, and I'm going to finish up this beverage.